You're on the air with Florenza, your podcast destination for authentic conversations with a twist. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and join me on this unique literary journey. Cheers!
On this episode of On the Air with Florenza, we welcome Jaclyn Westlake, career columnist turned novelist. In her debut novel, Lucky Break, Westlake blends humor, heart, and hard-earned wisdom into a story that speaks to everyone who's ever questioned their path or wished for a do-over. Join me as we unpack her journey from job search expert to storyteller and explore the lessons tucked between the laughter. Please put your hands together and welcome Jaclyn to the show. Thank you so much, Jaclyn, for joining me on this episode of On the Air with Florenza, where in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about your beautifully covered book. Yeah, I need to get something done to my nails, so I'm going to do it this way. Do more of a Vanna White hold up.
Perfect. I love it. I was actually on Wheel of Fortune about 10 years ago. I met Vanna White, and you are nailing it.
Yes. Now, did you get a chance to see her doing her crocheting in the back? Her
No,
knitting?
she came back into the room where all the contestants were getting ready to say hello, and she had no makeup on, her hair wasn't done, and she was just gorgeous and could not have been nicer.
Oh, she just looks like
Yeah.
such a nice little homebody.
I know.
Oh, I
Anyway,
could,
your impression was spot on.
thank you. I could pervert her very easily.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. So before we get started, we're going to toast to an amazing show. And I have, what does that say?
It says
Leave
leave
me
me alone.
alone.
And it's a nod to the street that my characters live on in the book. It's called Loon Lane.
Now, did you have the mug made for them or you had the mug and then you named the street?
I had named the street and then I saw the mug on
Okay.
Etsy and I said, I have to have this.
Nice. Well, cheers.
Yours?
And what are you drinking after you slurp that down?
I'm drinking iced coffee, but later it will be a margarita, I promise.
Wink, wink. We talked
Wink,
about
wink.
this before the show came on, boys and girls. Is it really coffee? Probably not. And this is Kool-Aid. Believe no one.
Sure, sure.
Mm, okay. That is a red, and I forget who makes that. I need to get stock in that company because they're like my favorite.
Oh, I love red wine.
Oh, yes, I love any kind of alcohol. As we were sharing before the show came on. Maybe, boys and girls, you'll get some of that detail. Maybe not.
If you're
That's going to be
lucky.
Jaclyn and my inside joke forever.
Yes.
So now tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and tell us about Lucky Break.
Sure. My name is Jaclyn Westlake. I am a California girl through and through. I was born and raised in the Bay Area, but my mom, like I said, is from Wisconsin, and I am a huge fan of the Midwest. So my first book, Dear Dottie, is set in San Francisco, and it draws heavily from my experiences living there in my 20s. And then when it came time to write my second book, Lucky Break, I really wanted to revisit all of the fun memories I have in Wisconsin, days on the lake, going out on pontoon boats, going to dive bars with my cousins, sometimes before I was actually of age.
Age.
Wink, wink, don't tell anyone. I love writing books about funny, flawed women who are just trying to figure out how to live their lives authentically, and the people that they find along their journeys of self-discovery who kind of help them become comfortable in their own skin.
Nice. Now, were you surrounded by a tribe of women that encourage you to be your own witty self while giving you space to grow?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate. I have a lot of really wonderful aunts. My mom is very outgoing and very fun and free-spirited. And I think I was really, really fortunate as a kid. I really have the same friend group that I've had since I was in elementary school.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's fun to look back on how we all were when we were really little. We were so silly and funny and we always revert back to that when we get back together. And so
Mhm.
it's nice to have those reminders of who I originally was before the world started putting expectations on me.
Mhm.
So yes, I'm very fortunate.
That is so sweet. I moved every year.
Oh, you
Just
did.
traumatic childhood, but just
Oh,
a fun childhood at the same time, but just awkward. And we
hmm.
moved every year. And then I
Oh,
married a military person and we moved pretty much every 3 years, but I was already made for it. So it
hmm.
was perfect for me. I actually thrived in that constant moving. But
Wow.
one of the things that you lose are those friendships, those relationships that develop over years, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's a trade-off, right? Because you've probably met so many more interesting people and it's shaped your worldview in probably a super unique way,
yeah.
which is why you have a show. So it's all a trade-off.
It's a trade-off. Yeah, my daughters would have preferred to be in one space, but they speak three languages. They've seen the world. I
Oh.
mean, it's just crazy their lived experiences. But the trade-off is now that we are, quote, back home
Hmm.
with family, there's so much that I see in my nieces that isn't necessarily present in my girls, which some of that is a good thing. And then I see
Hmm.
some strengths in my daughters that my nieces could never have because they've never had those challenges of constantly relocating.
That is so fascinating. And
Yeah,
you can never, you just can't have it all. Like
no.
every choice, everything that happens in your life is going to take you in a different direction and give you a different perspective. And I could write about that all day. It's so fascinating to me.
When you're writing your books, see, I don't stop looking at my questions. When you're writing your books, knowing that and looking at life with that vision of choices and
Mhm.
outcomes, do you find yourself starting down one lane and then skipping over to something else? Or are you that person that as you're writing, you have to give yourself a strong plot line because you would be all over the place?
Yeah, I do need to have somewhat of a structure because, particularly with women's fiction, you can pull from a lot of different genres, which is so much fun. And you can look at all the different aspects of a character's life, which I thoroughly enjoy. But I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole talking about like her second cousin who did something interesting once. So I've got to keep myself on task. So typically, I know the key moments that I'm writing towards, and
Mhm.
I know what the ending is going to be, but I don't know the fun little details that are going to pop up along the way.
Yeah, nice. The lake town we were just talking about
Mhm.
almost functions as a matchmaker of friends, opportunities, and maybe love. What world building choices made the place feel like a character without slipping into postcard cliches?
Oh, that's a fun question. Well, I knew that this town needed to have a few key elements. So it needed to be a cul-de-sac because Eliza, my main character, when she moves to this town, she ends up living on this little tight-knit cul-de-sac with a group of neighbors who are secretive about something. She doesn't know
Uh,
what. So I like the forced proximity of the cul-de-sac, and she becomes very fixated on them. She really wants to get to know them. She wants to be invited to the neighborhood barbecue. So that was an important element. I, of course, needed the lake because I love days on a lake. I love a pontoon boat. I love the calm waters, the sounds, everything. And then I needed a cute downtown,
mhm.
which could easily slip into like Hallmark postcard. And
Yes.
maybe there is some of that there.
Uh-huh.
But I love the idea of a town that has just everything that you need. There's a
Yeah.
nice restaurant, there's a cute coffee shop, there's a general store. And so I wanted to have some fun with the town names. And my main character, Eliza, spends quite a bit of time in town at this coffee shop where she meets a very cute, inconveniently cute newcomer
Uh-huh.
named Joel. So yeah, there's a lot of forced proximity and just enough setting options to
Yeah.
where we're not always in the same place
Mhm.
without, bouncing all around.
The little town where I live in a town called Chagrin Falls, and it is
Mm.
on a lake, and we have the
Ah,
waterfalls, and it is actually called the Hallmark of Ohio. And so, yes, so we have all of those things taking place here. So as you were talking, I'm like, oh, I live there, but do I
I
get out of my house enough to enjoy it? Probably not. I need
isn't
to.
isn't that the truth though? I live in a beach town now, and I'm not at the beach nearly as often as I thought I would be at the beach
Hmm.
because wherever you live, you're just living your life. You're not a
Yeah,
tourist every day.
yeah,
But I'm gonna come visit you now.
yes, please do. So, you tuck a mystery into women's fiction.
Mhm.
What craft levers did you pull? Foreshadowing, red herring, reveal timing to keep the pages turning while preserving the book's warm heart.
Oh my gosh, that's a very good question. That was something I was very thoughtful of and cognizant of because Lucky Break was part of a two-book deal, and I signed on as a women's fiction author, and I really wanted to stay true to women's fiction. So, yeah, I knew I wanted to have mystery elements, but it wasn't going to be a full-blown mystery. So it is. The book has strategically placed clues throughout. So when Eliza gets to her new house, the first night she's there, she sees a strange man lurking on her dock. Then she discovers some bins with mail belonging to the previous resident of the house. When she asks about it, the neighbors kind of get a little awkward.
Uh-huh.
So it's little things that are sprinkled into the bigger story of her settling into this new life, grappling with a broken engagement, maybe finding new love. So yeah, there's like little fun clues,
Uh-huh.
but it's definitely not a thriller.
Yes.
And I was very aware of that.
Which one of those undercurrents that had you not worked really hard to keep it at bay would have taken over and changed the entire genre of the book?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that the neighborhood and their secrecy, there's a neighbor in particular named Bob who's a very grumpy 80-year-old widower. And I I felt the story kind of wanting to pull it to this place where, my main character starts to suspect that maybe he's a murderer.
Oh.
Which could be fun. So I had to make him grumpy and unlikable enough, but not necessarily scary. I think if
Oh.
I had let Bob go too far,
Uh-huh.
um, the book would have felt a lot different.
Nice. Bob is going to come to you in dreams saying, give me my space. Now, your recruiting HR background gives you an X-ray vision for ambition, burnout, and
Mm.
reinvention. Where did the character lens shape Eliza's arc, and what real-world advice from your columns slip into the story?
Oh my gosh, that's fun too. I love all of these questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my background is in HR and recruiting, and I myself experienced a big career burnout and obviously became an author after several years. But so in Lucky Break, Eliza is very meticulous about planning her life. She's planned everything. When she wants to get promoted, when she wants to get married, when she wants to have kids, buy a house, everything. And throughout the story, she learns that you can't control everything in
Right.
life. Sometimes our circumstances are going to nudge us in a different direction. But what's really interesting is she works in Silicon Valley. She does marketing for all these, buzzy tech startups. And once she finds herself, working remotely from this coffee shop with these wonderful salt of the earth people, she finds it really hard to describe the companies that she works for because they're kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to explore what that feels like when you come out of your element in Silicon Valley in this example and put yourself somewhere else. Maybe AI for dogs is kind of a wild idea. Maybe that's not normal. And so she starts to realize that she wants more meaning from her work. And my advice to someone who is in that position where maybe you're starting to feel like it's a good job, I like what I'm doing, but I'm not finding that meaning is to one, look for ways to incorporate that into your role, which is something that Eliza does figure out a way to do. She starts doing marketing on the side for the coffee shop because she loves it so much.
Uh-huh.
Or, find something outside of work that fills that void for you because sometimes a job's a job and
Yeah.
we all have to work.
Yeah. That is, I love that. I love that. Now let's talk dialogue rhythms.
Mm.
Which characters surprised you most once they started talking back? And did any quiet characters hijack a scene you thought belonged to someone else?
Mm. So Eliza breaks up with her fiance Marco at the beginning of the book, and then we find out through flashbacks how that relationship fell apart. And he's a bit of a scene stealer. He has a bigger personality. And I didn't totally realize it until I listened to my audiobook and the way Amanda Ronconi, my narrator, performed
Yes.
him. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is stealing all the scenes.
Yes.
He doesn't even say very much, but when he does, it's impactful and not always in a good way. So Marco was a fun surprise for me. And then there's another character named Marge who's married to Gal, the character who will
Uh-huh.
tell you everything.
Blonde hair, I mean red hair.
Red hair, yeah. Marge is a lot more reserved, but there does come a moment in the book where she just totally opens up to Eliza, and that's a bit of a scene stealer too.
Ooh, nice. Love it, love it, love it. You're often shelved near Beth O'Leary and
Mhm.
Sophia Kinsella.
Mhm.
Kinsella. What expectations do readers bring to your work because of that? And what expectations do you love to upend?
So I think because of that shelving, which is a huge compliment, I love
I
both of
know,
those
right?
authors.
Hello.
I think that they come in expecting kind of a fun, voicey, girly, read, which is correct.
Uh,
And they both Sophie and Beth write really strong female characters too, which I hope to do as well. But I think the thing that I probably upend for them is I'm actually not writing romance. So there are romantic elements in my books, and they
yeah,
can feel and read a lot like a rom-com. And I would say that, they're definitely adjacent.
yeah,
But ultimately, what I'm writing about is the main character's emotional arc and her growth, and that's really the story. So
yeah.
I think for some it's a fun surprise, and for others they're like, there's no
Oh,
spice in these books.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I am not a romance girl at all. I will write
Nope.
it, right?
Hmm.
And but then I tell people, I'm just going to change the rating of this show. I tell people, I am not a Gill commercial, right? You're not going to see women with long blonde hair traipsing through the sunflower mellows with the sundress, even though I'm a dress wearer, that, traipsing through the sunflowers. I am more of a Trojan commercial.
I love that description.
That's the cleanest way I can describe it in life
Oh,
and writing.
I love that.
Too crazy come Too crazy ways to describe. But I'm a visual and I'm like, yeah,
I
no.
think that's great. Yes.
But it worked, right?
Yes, I feel like I know you so much better now.
I love it. Speaking of the audiobook,
Hmm.
Amanda is phenomenal. And you just answered that. Hearing her speak about the characters perform and how it changed your perspective of your one character. But what was it like hearing the humor and the banter that you write being performed by her? Did it seem like you were in this otherworldly place when you heard it?
I did, yeah. So the scene where Eliza meets her new love interest, Joel Jawowski, in the coffee shop is very charming, and hearing it come to life felt a little bit out of body for
Yeah.
me because I'd only ever read it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I write romantic elements, so seeing that or hearing that scene had me getting some goosebumps. I was like, this is cute. They're cute together. They should definitely get together.
Do you find yourself talking about your characters even outside of interviews and other places, like they're real people in your life and that now your family knows Eliza, they know Joel, they know all Enzo, the brother, like they're talking about these people as though they're real?
Yeah, it's so fun. My brother-in-law listened to the audiobook, and the first time he saw me after he'd finished listening to it, he was like, "We have to protect Enzo at all costs." I love him so much, which is he's Eliza's brother. He's the best. I also once, this was with Dear Dottie, my first book. My main character is named Rosie. I was out, and you know those license plates where they have like people's names?
Uh-huh.
So there was one that said Rosie, and I thought to myself, I should get this for Rosie. And then I had to check myself and say, she's not real. Like, what am I doing? So yes, this does happen.
If Rosie gets a Christmas present, Jaclyn, we are going to have a
We have
conversation.
I'm gonna have to cool it on the margaritas, is what
You're
is
going
gonna
to have
have to
to cool
happen
it with your coffee.
with my coffee. Yeah.
Nice. What is something that you want the listener, the reader to walk away from having read Lucky Break?
Yeah, I think my hope is that when people walk away from reading Lucky Break, they feel reassured that whoever they are, whatever life has thrown at them, they are enough just as they are, and they are more than their circumstances. So life is going to throw a lot of curveballs at us, and the people who belong there with you are going to support you in the way that you deserve to be supported. And you're enough. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to be married or have kids or live in the right place or have a certain job to be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Where are the listeners able to engage with you and follow you?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is on Instagram. I'm at Jaclyn_writing, and my name is spelled Jaclyn. I also have a website, jaclynwestlake.com, and I have a Substack, which is Dear Reader with Jaclyn Westlake.
Nice. Last question for this segment. What's a question that you have never been asked that secretly you would love to answer and but you've not had that opportunity? Or something that you would love to share, but the question just never came up.
You know what I would would love if people asked me, but they have to mean it.
Okay?
I would love it if people would ask me for advice on their lives, but they have to actually want to hear what I think. I
Because
think that
they
would be
ask, but they're not ready.
don't want. No, they just want to be reassured about their decisions, which is I can do that. I've totally got that covered.
Yeah.
But,
That's
sometimes
Massengill, girl. That's Massengill.
yeah,
We're Trojan.
sometimes.
We're gonna tell you the
Yes.
truth.
Yeah, aren't there times where you're like, I just wish you'd ask me what I think? Like, I think I don't know, I think spending time with all these fictional characters and trying to look at life from so many different perspectives, I think I could give some good advice if people really wanted it.
So maybe in your next thing gig that you're gonna pick up, it's gonna be an advice column.
That would be really fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I would love to do that. Yes.
I think you should.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So we've come to the part of our show that I call last call, one for the road, any excuse to drink as we
Cheers.
speak. Cheers.
Mhm.
So I put together a list. It's some this or that, true or false answer that should only take one-liners,
Okay.
and one or two would you rathers. And so let's start with this or that. This or that. Secret keeping neighbor or brutally honest best friend?
Brutally honest best friend.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
day. All day. My husband would say to me, he says, and boys and girls, this is the reason why my show is longer than it should be, because I ad lib. But my husband says to me, why do your friends really love you when you are just so mean to them? And I said, I'm never mean. I'm honest, but I am never mean.
Hmm.
I said, they don't come to me because they want someone with palms and cheers. They come to me because they need a coach and they need to get their shit together.
Yes, we all need a friend like that.
Yes, that's
Hmm.
me. So
Good.
we
I
see
will
eye to
remember
eye.
this. I will
Yes,
ask you for advice.
call me up.
I will.
Okay, this or that. Cliff jump into the lake or toes only on the dock.
Toes only on the dock. I'm a toes only on the dock girl, not a daredevil here.
Now, is that why we have Eliza sitting there so beautifully on the dock?
Oh, I would love to take more credit for it, but no, the cover designer came up with this all on her own, and it's so beautiful. I know.
Oh, she was channeling your
Yes,
secret toe dipping.
she. She was.
So true or false? True or false? And then I'm going to try to guess.
Okay.
The first chapter survived from draft 1. Ooh. Sometimes my true or false are so darn true with a little bit of false that it makes it false. I'm going to say true in this case, though.
That is true. Yep. I think the first line I wrote was Marco tops off my wine glass and I resent him for it. I think, yeah, that was like one of the first lines I wrote and it stayed,
Hey,
the chapter stayed.
nice. True or false? You wrote the reveal before you wrote the romance. Oh, I'm going to have to say, oh, but you're not a romance person, so you might have just got it out the way. Shoots. I'm going to say false.
I think that's false. I knew the reveal before, but I did not write it before.
Okay.
I wrote it all in like linearly, so it came
Okay.
last.
All
Yeah.
right. And would you rather have your MC choose the town or have the town choose your MC?
Hmm. I think MC choose the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather would you rather cut 10,000 words you adore or write 20,000 new ones on deadline?
Oh. Um, maybe cut 10,000 words I adore.
Yeah.
20,000 on deadline is a lot, and I don't know that I would adore what I write if I have to write quickly.
No. Okay. And let's see. Did I get them all? Let's do this. Going back to the secret of Juneberry Lake. No, let's do this. I will cut that part or keep it. I don't know. Talk
Yes.
to us about the title Juneberry Lake and where did that come from? Because we blew right on past that.
Yeah. So the town is called Juneberry Lake. I actually initially had named it something that I felt sounded more Midwestern because, having family in Wisconsin, like names like Oconomowoc, Waukesha, Mukwonago were very,
Yeah.
familiar to me. And I'd come up with a name, I think it was Sokogan. And my editor was like, no one's going to know how to
Yeah.
pronounce that. We got to come up with something else. So I wanted it to feel really cute and easy to pronounce. And I was researching native plants
Uh-huh.
in Minnesota and I found the Juneberry and I was like, couldn't be cuter.
Perfect.
So I used it.
Cute. That would be a great name for a pet too. Come here, Juneberry.
Oh, that's so cute.
Wouldn't that be adorable?
That would be really cute.
Yes.
I'll remember that too.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jaclyn. This has been so much fun.
Thank you, Florenza. I had the best time.
And this wraps up another episode of On the Air with Florenza. You may follow me on all social media platforms under Florenza Lee or via my website at florenza.org. Until next time, cheers.